cloudy days. Today is January 10th, 2024, and I am what's called the Refuge of Rocks at the base of Pico de Orizaba, the highest mountain in Mexico. This is going to be a really big task for me. The altitude at the top is 18,500 feet, more or less. This is significantly more than the highest peak that I've done to date, which is Iztaccíhuatl, which is at about 17,200. And we got here about an hour ago. I'm getting my gear organized, and we are planning to leave at 1 a.m. And I will give you more facts and figures and statistics about the mountain later. Wish me luck. I'm back, and that is Pico de Orizaba behind me. Here are some more statistics for you. Right now at the Refugio de Piedra, we are at an elevation of 13,609 feet. And tomorrow we're going to be gaining 4,426 feet of elevation gain. And the altitude at the peak is 18,635 feet, contrary to what I just said before. And the total distance of the hike is only 4.5 miles round trip. But trust me, at this altitude, every step is a battle. So again, this is, I'm a little nervous because this is significantly higher than anything I've done before. But I think I'm feeling good. I didn't get sick, and I will report back from the mountain. Buenos dias. It is 12:45 a.m. and I think I am ready for a 1 o'clock start here in the Refugio de Piedra. Wish me luck. It's time for a progress report. It is 3:15 a.m. and this section of the hike is a rocky, icy mix. And it started out all dry. I really don't know how much progress I've made because I can't see anything. But I'm feeling good, and I'll talk to you more later. It's time for a progress report. I know you can barely see me, but it's 6:24 a.m. and we're just starting to see some daylight. It's still too early to turn off the headlamps, and I am tired. It seems like I have to take 2 or 3 breaths for every step, and our group is scattered all over the place. But I'm told that we're near the summit, probably not super near, but I'm feeling confident I'm going to make it. Okay, progress report. It's about 7:03 a.m. and I'm going to say I can see the summit, Pico de Orizaba, behind me. So I feel that I can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel, and so I will give you another report at the top. Hi there, greetings from Lee Canyon Ski Area near Las Vegas. It's January 25th now, so 2 weeks after Orizaba, and I owe you guys some closure to the trip. After the last thing you saw of me recording videos was the last of my problems, so I didn't record any. But let me try to tell you what happened. As I hope I've conveyed with what I did record, the hike up, or climb up, was very disorganized. The group was all over the place. I don't think the guides knew the correct route. One person in the group, Beatrice, asked to turn back because she wasn't feeling well, and I volunteered to go with her if they wanted to split the 4 guests and the 2 guides, and they said no. So they got out a rope and basically pulled her up, and eventually we get to the base of the glacier and the sun comes out and we can see what we're up against. And again, the group was still scattered all over the place. We were covered in a lot of clothing. It was hard to tell who was who, and at least for me, it's hard to think clearly at such high altitude. So basically we kept on going, and there was the guides did not talk to us about anything about what to expect. They pretty much said, follow us, and if you can't keep up with us, either wait here for us to come back down or get back down by yourselves. They didn't actually say this, but this seemed to be the situation. So I thought we were kind of scattered all over the place, but we were all still going up. And eventually we get to a rock, and the guides recommend, why don't you leave your packs here and we'll come back to them after we summit so you'll have less weight to carry. This did not sound like the best idea to me, but I did it anyway, because who am I to question the guides? So that's what we did, and we kept going up. And at this point, it is steep, it is icy, it is cold, it is a little windy, and I soon realized that there were only 4 of us left. There were the 2 guides, me, and Florente. Celso and Beatrice had turned back at some point. It probably was at around the time the sun came out and we could see the glacier. And pictures that they took bear this out, that they at least made it that far. So I'm going to continue this because this run is almost at the end. So where I left off was the steep slog up the glacier. And so at this point, between the 4 of us left, I was the weakest link, significantly so. I was having a lot of trouble with the altitude. I was only taking maybe 3 to 5 steps per minute. And, you know, my stomach felt okay. I didn't have a headache. I was just weak. Every step was a struggle. And the other 3 in the group, they were way ahead of me, like beyond talking distance. And once in a while they stopped for me to close the gap, but they never got like close enough for me to fully catch up. So I really felt mostly on my own out there. And by the way, in researching this trip, I was advised that you're supposed to rope up because of crevasses on the glacier. Did we rope up? Of course not. Okay, so you know, 2 or 3 hours of this, just slow progress. And at one point, I need to take a pee, and I take my gloves off, mittens, I should say, and I put them on a rare rock that was sticking out of the snow. And halfway through doing what I had to do, I see one of them sliding down, and I look back to see if the other one's there, and that one's already gone. So the wind got them and blew them way, way, way down the mountain, probably to somewhere near where we left our packs. It would have taken hours, like 2-3 hours to go back down, find them, assuming I even could find them, and get back up to that point. And it was cold. So I start screaming in Spanish that my gloves fell off and stopped. And Florente, the other guest, comes back down while the guides pretend that they couldn't hear me. and I just said my mitten slid down the mountain, both of them, and I don't, my hands are cold, and I think I should descend, and I would like it if somebody else could go with me in the interest of safety. And he gives me his gloves. That's very nice of him. I think he did this because he didn't want to go down. He really wanted to make the summit. And this is a short, tough Mexican guy. And if he's the kind of guy that can take tough conditions much better than I can. And I'm going to have to make another part of this because I'm getting close to the end of the lift. So where I left off was the gloves falling off, and Florente comes down to help me. And at this point, he kind of, I think that he asked me if I wanted to keep going up or descend. And so now let's keep in mind that now I'm the weakest link and I'm slowing him down. If I choose to go up, I'm going to be exposing his hands to the elements for longer than necessary. So I felt that it wouldn't have been fair to him for me to both take his gloves and slow him down. So I choose to go down by myself. Nobody else would go with me, which I did. It was not easy. I basically jabbed my ice axe, like the pointy end, into the ice and went down step by step. In some places I didn't need to do that. I could glissade a little bit. And in some places the ice was really hard and I couldn't even penetrate it with my ice axe. So I had to kind of traverse around looking for places where the ice was soft enough to get my ice axe into it. So I must admit I was kind of nervous at some points at this part of the adventure, but I made it back down. And I'm getting very thirsty, by the way. I ate some snow, but I eventually make it back down to the packs. And settle so. And at the packs, I could see somebody in the distance a little bit further down, and he's kind of waving his arms. And so I go down there, and it's settle so. And he asks me in Spanish, what is going on? Who is where? And, I explained what I knew about me, Florente, and the two guides. And what happened to him is he basically just got left behind. And then I asked, where's Beatrice? And he said, I don't know. And so at this point, I'm very worried about Beatrice. So we're just sitting there, and we could see somebody else coming down the mountain by this point. They're too far away to tell who it was, but all the other groups were correctly staying together, as groups are supposed to do. And we see a lone person coming down by him or herself, so we figured it's got to be somebody in our group. So we wait a while for this person to make his way down, which he eventually does, and I will give you the next installment after my next run. So where I left off was waiting for this mystery person to come down, and it turned out to be one of the two guides, and he was fine. And we asked what happened to the other guide in Florente, and he said they were just still up there taking pictures. And that made me regret my decision somewhat to not summit if Florente was taking extra time up there with no gloves on to take pictures. But it is what it is. The three of us decided to go down. By the way, the guide also did not know anything about what had happened to Beatrice. So the three of us go down, and I don't think we went the correct way. I think we were way too far to the left, and going down was not especially pleasant because this time the sun's coming out and it's melting ice, so things are very wet and muddy. And I fell in the mud quite a few times, but what can you do? And this time you would think I would start feeling better because I'm descending, but the oxygen is still, the thinness of the air is still just, I'm still just feeling very weak, and takes me a while to get down, but eventually we do. And when I could see the Refugio de Pierda, we were, looking down at it, we were way too far to the side, where we didn't need to be. We should have just been in the gully. And meanwhile, I have kind of an apology worked out in my head for Beatrice, assuming she's there, and hopefully she would be. And she was, and as soon as I get there, I apologize for my part in her being abandoned, but she said it was okay. And so I asked, well, what happened to you? And so, yeah, she said that everyone abandoned her, and she waited for like an hour and a half. Nobody was coming back, and she was getting cold. So she decided to descend on her own, and she gets lost, and she starts calling for help really loudly, screaming for help. And fortunately, another guide heard her, not one of our guides, but one from some other outfit. And this guide very kindly brings her back down, and safe and sound. And so she's just waiting in the refugio for a long time for the rest of the group. And meanwhile, I'm filled with being kind of upset with myself for losing my mittens and not making it, despite being very close. And by the way, I think I was only about 200 to 300 vertical feet from the summit, so I got close. And being really disappointed with these guides. They were out there to climb the mountain for themselves, make some money, and if the guests couldn't keep up with them, tough. And so the driver is already there waiting for us, so we all pile in the car, and not a word is spoken between me and the guides. They must have known I was angry. And so it's a long car ride back, and how much do I tip them, you might ask? Not one single peso. I think I gave a kind of mumbled an adios, and that was it. So yeah, I have very strong feelings about these worthless guides. And I asked Beatrice if she had the number of the guide who rescued her, and she did. And I'm going to leave it in the video description, and his name. And I reached out to this guide and thanked him profusely, and he said that I could leave his information. Now, I don't know him beyond that he came to the rescue of my friend, but he gets a lot of points for that with me. And I also wrote about this in my newsletter. I hesitate to leave a link to that because then I think YouTube will penalize me, but I'll try to give some hints in the video description about how to find it. So that's pretty much the end of the story. The rest of the trip went fine. We enjoyed it. And, overall, despite Orizaba's problems, the whole trip was a week long, and I had a good time. I really am glad I went. And, with trips like this, usually not everything goes right. So that's the end. Thanks for watching. Thanks for making it to the end. Hope you'll give it a thumbs up. Leave your questions and comments below, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.